Sorry about that. We lost Wi-Fi connection, but we're back now. Chen Gomi Bainsin. Chatting Gomi.
I'm going, sir. I'm going.
Ah, okay. Actually, thank you very much. All right. Yes, I was talking about the extent of the rule of Aule. I've heard this since I was a child. Aule cursed Yoruba people. Now, the circumstances surrounding that thing, I don't want to talk about it today because of time, but suffice to say that they sent a message to Aule asking him to commit royal suicide, and he did. And people have said when he was about to die, he cursed Yoruba people, and that's why Yoruba people are killing. The very first question I need to ask them is this: what made them think he was king over all of us? It was not. Number one, even at the height of the empire did not reign over all of Yoruba people. People need to understand these things, and it does not reduce Oyo in any way. It doesn't reduce Oyo. Let me give you an example, and I think it's something that people should also think about. We talk about the Greek Empire, just an example. What Alexander did, right, after his father's death, Philip of Macedon, and then he moved and conquered some parts of Greece as we know it today, and then went out of there and then conquered out in other places all the way to India and Egypt and all of those places. And I say, oh, the Greek Empire. The truth is that even if you're going to use the word Greek Empire in that sense, it would be that he had conquered everyone, right? Every single city-state in Greece. Oyo did not do that in Yoruba land. Oyo did not conquer all of Yoruba land. Central Yoruba land was not under Oyo. Eastern Yoruba land was not under Oyo. Oyo was primarily northern Yoruba. By the way, this does not in any way reduce the power or the significance or the importance of Oyo in Yoruba history, and nothing can diminish that. But you also don't need to include lies in order to prop something up. Oyo is too big to be propped up with all this unnecessary propaganda. And to back kere no man waro láti shock here. Oyo tóbi fúnra rẹ̀, ó tó onikimi. Oyo on its own is powerful enough to make a statement. Oyo went all the way, of course, it went south as well. Went south all the way to Benin Republic, but Oyo did not conquer Eastern Yoruba land, Central Yoruba land. Those and by the way, Central Yoruba land, particularly in Ife itself, was a no-go area for a long time, and no Oyo king ever went against Ife the way what's happening right now is happening until the immediate past. Alafi Ademi, not one Oyo king. In the 1840s, when Henry Higgins visited the Alafi in Oyo, you know what he said to him? That they had to do something, because at the time, some people had history and whatnot. But let me just say it this way: something that happened in Ife, right? And part of Ife was desolate. There was a war, which Yoruba people said they would never fight Ife, but something happened that led to that, and it was terrible. And the Alaafin was telling Higgins that he has to help to rebuild Ife, because that's where he said, because if that place is not taken care of, it will affect the whole world. That's what the Alaafin said. This was in the 1840s. There's always been that respect for Ife until people came around and started changing stuff. The point I'm trying to make is that you don't have to prop up Oyo history. Oyo is big on its own. One of these, we're going to have a session. We'll have discussions on Ife, because we don't really know Ife, to be honest. We think we do, but we don't know it as we should. And we also need to discuss Oyo as well. When you discuss Oyo, you will have a different mindset of who we are as Yoruba people, because Oyo is blessed, and Oyo actually it's a blessing to have that as part of our heritage as Yoruba people. Having said that, Oyo did not conquer all of Yoruba land. So if Aule was cursing anyone at all, let's say he even cursed them, he'll probably be talking about these people. It's like if Timi, let me not use Timi because they were under Oyo as well. Let's say, for instance, Owa Obokun curses. I mean, they can bless all of us. You know what? I don't want to use that example because it may sound a bit funny. if a king decides, for instance, to specifically bless all of Yoruba people, all right, but 1 second, I think we lost YouTube. I hope we're back. Kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀? Ẹ má bínú, kí n tó ṣẹlẹ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn ló wà affect nǹkan tá à ń ṣe o. Ẹ má bínú, kó bá lè dáná ni o. I don't know what's happening. Are we still live? Okay, it should get better. Maybe people went off, they'll come back. 1 second. I've not finished answering that question, but I just need to quickly do something. What was I saying? I was saying that people have to remember the extent of the authority of the person in question. It was the Alaafin, but at the time, even the empire, Toje Empire, Oyo did not rule all over Yoruba land. All these things that people are saying right now is just ridiculous. That's why you cannot go to Ondo or talk to people in Ekiti or Ikare and tell them that they want Oyo. Oh my shape for no, oh my friend Baron. All right, you get the point. That's at the height. Aole's reign was not at the height of Oyo as an empire. So number one, I don't know if he indeed cursed Yoruba land. I don't know. But even if he did, he didn't have authority to curse beyond his jurisdiction. Let's make that very, very clear. And for those who are always shouting that Oyinbo came and Oyinbo made some people clinical over some people, even Oyinbo wrote it in the treaty. I have the treaty here in the 1800s. They had the treaty. The entire place they call Yoruba is not up to Oyo State though. It's not the entire Oyo State that they call Yoruba. So all this thing about somebody curse all of us is just ridiculous. Number two, or number four, or number five, the point is we have to be careful with this thing of people are cursed, kiniko. The reason people repeat that thing is because of ignorance. Oh, we are, I can't even use it on myself. Oh, they are cursed because, there is no Kosishoko. Study the history of huge civilizations. You always have àwọn kankan tó kàn jẹ́ pé ọ̀tọ̀ ni gbogbo ronú lọ báyìí ọmọ fẹ́ bà nǹkan jẹ́. It's not an exclusive Yoruba thought. Let me say something while at this matter. Somebody did one stuff one day and said Yoruba máa ń jìra wọn lẹ́sẹ̀ gan kò sí ṣọ̀kan tí ọkọ máa ń ṣe báyìí ọkọ máa fẹ́ jìn òótọ́ ni o òótọ́ ni, but people don't do that because they're Yoruba. They do it because they're humans. And when the person said, I asked the question, I said, was Brutus a Yoruba man? The one who stabbed Julius Caesar, was he Yoruba? It's not Yoruba. It's not a Yoruba trait. It's a human trait. And it's not a value system that we cultivated that, okay, one of the values is that become a general lesser, go simbe. Just be very careful with this negativity of kidney. So number one, I've asked many questions. I hope everything, but the last number one of the last bit is that I can't confirm, although I've read it. Some people said, "Anorokere ni talo wa megbaton gegun funle Yoruba amo." Orokere ni ti o ba le kan adikan. The second thing is this: tó bá tẹ́ jẹ́ pé on gegun fún he cannot. He has no authority over places where he has no jurisdiction. Therefore, there's no way he's cursing anybody in Yoruba land beyond this space. And I even don't think that Oyo is cursed. I don't believe so. Although something happened later, the word eventually moved Oyo, and they moved and different things happened. But that was inevitable, to be honest, especially with what Afoja was trying to do at the time. All right, I hope I answered that question. And to be clear, the person is ignorant. The person is just talking nonsense. The story is a bit more complicated than they like Oyo people, they look, so forth. Did I answer your questions, or is there any other thing I did not mention? Please feel free to remind me. You can unmute now.
Okay,
if there's anything I didn't answer, please feel free to remind me.
The way she even gave the way they analyze the story, it's completely nonsense. I can see a high level of ego and stupidity in the way she was talking. Like she was saying, this story you hear it from me today, you cannot hear it anywhere. When somebody speaks like that, it means that person is a fool. That is that the word Yoruba or Nyoruko Toja Uruko Nagije.
If you say she is not Yoruba, she would not have used the word Inogije. What word did she use?
No, ó ní orúkọ yẹn ni orúkọ ìnagijẹ ọba tó kọ́kọ́ jẹ lọ́yọ̀ yẹn. Bó ṣe sọ ń tiẹ̀ nìyẹn. Mo gbọ́ nǹkan tó sọ dáadáa. So olórúkọ yẹn nígbà tí wọ́n gégùn fún orúkọ yẹn nítorí pé wọ́n lọ ó ní wọ́n deceive Àfọ̀njá láti
Any sùúrù,
which I don't want to go to those.
any sùúrù.
Okay.
No. If you are going to ask a question, you have to go into those things. Number one,
Okay.
there was nobody who had the Inogije called Yoruba. There is no history. Meanwhile, one second, please. If you're on TikTok, please power tab. This is showing an activity. It might go off. We already.
Well,
We have to, no. No, you have to mute too. I can't do this, please. You have to mute too. Can you imagine affects me? Kim also no. Sherry, there is no anybody. You know, when we have these conversations, I would say things like read this book and read that book. I've said it several times. It's not that I cannot just come here and tell you stuff and say take my word for it. Ayodeji, Merry Christmas. Good to see you. Oh, Tojo Meta. I just said take my word for it. I know history. I don't know how people do that thing with Oboju. The reason we quote people, even when you read historians' works, you hear according to the tradition of the people here. Because it's not fiction. You're not just making things up. Anybody that tells you something like, I want to tell you Yoruba history that you cannot hear anywhere else. I want to tell you one story that you don't know anywhere else. I mean, is it possible? The first question I'm going to ask you is that who are you? I'll give an example. Some things you will know because you were told in confidence. Some things you will know because of your family. Some things you must have been told by elders in your family. So even that, the fact that you're even saying it also shows that you were told. If you say nobody else would know, then it means you are making it up and you're most likely lying. So let's forget all that rubbish of something that nobody else knows. But the point I'm trying to, just to answer the final question, then we'll move on. Yoruba was nobody's nickname. And you said it's not Yoruba, so I'm wondering how does she know to pronounce the word Inogije? But if she's not Yoruba and she says it's Inogije, that's okay. The point is just that it's not somebody's nickname. And also, the people that some people are changing, let me even talk to us. Some people are using Yoruba now in a very funny way and trying to move what's the word now? Move goalposts from time to time, saying things like, "Oh, this place is Yoruba, all of us are Yoruba," but this person. I heard one person say that Alaafin is the Alaafin of Yoruba land. That is nonsense. That's nonsense. There's no Alaafin of Yoruba land. If the Yoruba land you're talking about includes Ondo, Ekiti, Ife, there's no Alaafin of Yoruba land. There's Alaafin of Oyo. In the Gazette, it's called Alaafin of Oyo. In ancient times, it's called Alaafin of Oyo. There's no Alaafin of everybody. And Akmole should not get to the point where you begin to take things for granted. He's a revered king, but he has jurisdiction. And that's the reason the Olubadan was saying the other day that he knows that his Olubadan does not go beyond Ibadan. He said it. And he was saying it for a particular reason. There's nothing like everywhere under, or it's not true. Unless people are just trying to make people know where they are right now. And you know the funny thing is, and this is what pains me, to be honest, people are going to move in such a way that stories that, I mean, we know but we would not say would have to come out, not to denigrate anyone but to set the record straight so people don't get carried away with all this empire Ẹkáàbọ. So we should be very careful of twisting history as well, because I think we also tí ikú lè bá pa ẹni tó dé lè pa ni, tí ẹni tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ tán sọ ètò bá tó tí bá ṣe gbọ́ ẹni tó sọ pé kíní kan Ọ̀yọ́, kíní kan Yorùbá, kíní kan ọ̀gá, there's nothing like that too. Everybody has his jurisdiction, but there are people or there are stools or thrones that are that other thrones and other people and entire people are attached to, right? in the founding of Ibadan, for instance, you had Ife people, you had Oyo people, you had Ijebu, you had Egba, mostly Ife, Oyo, Ijebu, Egba. You had these people come together and then form a town. And then they know where they come from, and they can trace themselves back to the source. The reason they call, by the way, I want to say this. The reason everybody looks up to Oni is not because of Onyibo came in 20 Kinikon, we did something together, therefore Kinikon is the king. No. If you call yourself a Yoruba person, there's no way on earth that you want to tell your Yoruba history and you begin when Onyibo came. That is disrespectful to our forefathers. It's a sin. I want to tell Yoruba history and then you begin from colonization. Do you know what you have cancelled? You have cancelled thousands of years of civilization, and you have turned yourself into a primitive person, maybe jumping from tree to tree before Oyinbo now came and rescued you and now say, okay, this is who you are. Therefore, your identity was granted by the Oyinbo. It's demeaning. Which is why we're going to be having sessions to discuss what happened back in the day. And again, like we always do, we're going to bring a lot of books. Again, because like what she said, what the person said, somebody said, the idea that somebody is telling you something that nobody else knows is not a very smart way of discussing history. Unless, of course, maybe, no matter what it is, there are things you may know in confidence. Maybe I'm saying more. Maybe, and there are things like, it's not everything you know. There are things, for instance, that I know because of my family. There are things I know primarily, many things in Yoruba. Nobody else knows. Well, let's hear it when we hear it. But what you have said so far, let me put it this way. I don't have anything to prove that anybody had Yoruba as his nickname. And we have to be very careful of making things up. And I'm very glad, like I said earlier, that I don't know the people you're talking about that said what you said, but I hope the answers I've given so far have actually helped to clarify those things. Let's move on to other things. It's past 7 already. Quite interesting, dear Lord. Where's Christmas? Where were we? We'll bring one more person up. I can't hear you, Jake. Please don't worry about it. Let's just bring somebody up. I can't.
No, that's good. You mentioned a book to go and read about Yoruba.
You are reminding me why I don't bring people up when I'm talking sincerely.
Sorry.
Jesus. What was the question, sir?
I took too much of your time.
What was the question?
The book you said we should go and read about the Yoruba, Oruko Yoruba.
Me too. All right, please say what you are saying.
Yoruba I mentioned we got to go and read the Oruko Yoruba, something like that. Oh, you forgot. Okay, sorry. I'm not worried.
No, I know everything I said. I didn't say go and read a book about Oruko Yoruba. I said go and read. I mentioned the book to read about the founding of Oyo. If you want to ask a question about how we got the name Oruko Yoruba, is that the question you want to ask? And then I'll take you down so I can really fire about the answer. Do you want to ask that question? But let me just tell you the books you can read. Read the history of Europe, a history of the Yoruba people by Stephen Banji Akintoye. That's one. The New History by Akinwumi Ogundiran. Start with those two books. Now, if you're looking for the word Yoruba, the name of if that's the question, because I've not said anything in that regard, but I've said that the idea that Yoruba, excuse me, if a person says that nobody else knows, how are you going to verify? That's the issue. So I don't know how to deal with that. But I've answered your question. Okay, sure. I'm tomorrow, but we're gonna have to move on. All right. Kini. Let me first say something about the name Yoruba. The truth of the matter is this. I cannot in good conscience tell you that there is a particular meaning of that word. Nah, that Yoruba thing is just man. I hear people say things on social media as well. It's an explanation, not the meaning. There's nothing like I know the meaning. The meaning is Yoruba. It's just an explanation by one author, Robert Orton. There are many explanations of that name and understanding of where that name came from. There's no way you're reading all of this and you're going to say, oh, it means Yoruba. Okay, tell us how it became that. Nobody can say it. And that's the issue. So, is there, let me see if I can find, should be Lowasha. Let me see if I can find, I wrote an article on this a while back. I don't know if it's on this device or on the other one. So, pray for me. Pray for me, Badura for me. I'm going to come back to an article written by Professor Banji. I can tell you on the name, about the name Yoruba. If I find it, then that'll be good. If not, if you read Abeokuta and the Cameroon Mountains, Volume 2, was when Robert Orton talked about the Yoruba thing. Boy, let's read this to you from Robert Akintoye. Number 1. This is a piece called About the Name Yoruba. The question is sometimes raised in modern times whether the Yoruba did have a common national name for themselves in their early history, before modern times.